Today, I'd like to share with you a story that truly feels written in the stars. The extraordinary journey of Elara, Vance, and Liam Thorne. They were two young souls who found an all-consuming love in the quiet town of Willow Creek, making a promise of forever under a vast, star-filled sky. But life, with its ambitions and unforeseen paths, pulled them apart for decades, leading them to build separate lives, raise families, and contribute significantly to their worlds. For nearly half a century, their love became a cherished memory, a wistful fantasy. What happens when destiny, with its subtle, insistent hand, orchestrates an unexpected reunion in their golden years in the bustling heart of New York City, proving that some connections are simply unbreakable? This is a story about a passion so profound, so overwhelming, that it defies time and distance, reminding us that true love always finds its way back home, no matter how long the journey. I invite you to subscribe to our channel, and please, share in the comments where you're listening from today. I love knowing where our stories travel. The small town of Willow Creek was a tapestry woven with familiar faces and the gentle hum of routine, a place where the river flowed with the same quiet constancy as the passage of time. It was a haven of long, sun-drenched summers and nights ablaze with a million stars, a setting ripe for the kind of innocent, all-consuming love that blooms in youth. And it was here, in the vibrant flush of their early 20s, that Elara, Vance, and Liam Thorne first found each other, their connection as profound and as natural as the ancient trees lining the riverbanks. Elara, with her thoughtful gaze and an innate curiosity for the world beyond Willow Creek, was a burgeoning writer, her mind alight with stories and her heart brimming with unspoken dreams. She possessed a quiet grace, a gentle strength, and a laugh that, once coaxed, could fill any room with warmth. Liam was her spirited counterpart, outgoing, adventurous, with a restless energy that longed for the vastness of the ocean and the thrill of scientific discovery. His smile was infectious, his eyes sparkled with intelligence and a hint of mischief, and his touch, even in their youthful innocence, sent a thrilling current through Elara. Their love story began, as many do in such towns, with stolen glances, lingering conversations, and shared moments that slowly, beautifully, intertwined their lives. It was a tender unfolding, a delicate dance of discovery that felt both exhilarating and profoundly safe. They spent countless evenings lying on a worn blanket in Liam's backyard, far from the town lights, watching the constellations wheel across the inky blackness of the summer sky. Liam, with his burgeoning scientific knowledge, would point out distant galaxies, explaining their wonders, while Elara, with her poetic soul, would weave tales of ancient myths and cosmic destinies, seeing their own fate reflected in the celestial dance. It was under one such sky, thick with the scent of honeysuckle and the rhythmic chirping of crickets, that their unspoken feelings finally found voice. Liam, his hand gently brushing Elara's, confessed a love that felt as boundless and as infinite as the universe above them. Elara, her heart pounding with a fierce, joyful intensity, responded with a silent squeeze of his hand, a gaze that spoke volumes, a profound understanding that this connection, this feeling, was unlike anything she had ever known. It was an all-consuming passion, a fire that ignited every fiber of her being, a sense of belonging that felt like coming home. Their love became the vibrant core of their world, coloring every aspect of their young lives. They were inseparable, their days filled with shared adventures, exploring the winding trails, swimming in the cool river, dreaming aloud about the future. Their nights were for whispered secrets, for dreams spun under the starlight, for the quiet comfort of simply being together. They spoke of a future intertwined, of leaving Willow Creek together after college, of building a life filled with purpose and shared passion, a life where their love would be the constant, guiding star. The promise they made to each other, under the vast, indifferent gaze of the cosmos, was not a formal declaration, but a silent, deeply felt commitment. It was a promise of forever, of unwavering devotion, of a love that would conquer all obstacles. They were young, perhaps idealistic, but their feelings were real, raw, and utterly profound. They believed, with the fierce conviction of youth, that their love was written in the stars, an unchangeable truth that destiny itself had ordained. But destiny, as they would soon learn, often weaves its intricate patterns through unexpected detours and unforeseen challenges, stretching the fabric of time in ways they could not fathom. As their college years drew to a close, the practicalities of their individual dreams began to cast long shadows over their shared future. Elara, with her brilliant mind and her passion for literature, received an offer for a prestigious editorial internship in New York City, a world away from the quiet charm of Willow Creek. Liam, driven by his adventurous spirit and a burgeoning career in marine biology, was offered a research position on the West Coast, a path that promised scientific discovery and the vastness of the ocean he longed to explore. The news, delivered separately, hit them like a physical blow. The unspoken assumption of a shared future, of a life built side by side, suddenly felt fragile, threatened by the very ambitions they had once celebrated. Their conversations grew strained, tinged with a sadness that neither of them knew how to articulate. The summer nights under the stars, once filled with joyful dreams, now carried the weight of impending separation, the quiet dread of a future that seemed to be pulling them in different directions, not just for a few years, but for a lifetime. They tried to find a way, to bridge the growing chasm between their paths. They spoke of long-distance relationships, of visits during breaks, of a future reunion once their careers were established. But the words felt hollow, inadequate against the vastness of the miles that would soon separate them, against the unknown challenges of new cities, new lives, new experiences that would span decades. The intensity of their love, once their greatest strength, now felt like a heavy burden, a painful reminder of what they stood to lose. The night before Elara was to leave for New York, they returned to their spot under the ancient oak tree, the same place where their love had first blossomed. The sky was clear, the stars brilliant, but their light seemed to mock the ache in their hearts. There were no grand pronouncements, no dramatic farewells, just the quiet understanding of two souls facing an impossible choice, a forced divergence. Liam held Elara close, his embrace a desperate attempt to memorize her scent, her warmth, the feel of her against him. Elara buried her face in his shoulder, tears silently tracing paths down her cheeks, each drop a testament to the profound love and profound sorrow that consumed her. They spoke of their promise, the one made under the summer sky, the one about forever. Liam whispered that he would never forget her, that she would always be his guiding star. Elara, her voice thick with emotion, vowed that no matter where life took them, a part of her heart would always belong to him. It was a bittersweet reaffirmation, a desperate clinging to a love that felt like it was slipping through their fingers, not for a few years, but potentially for a lifetime. As the first rays of dawn began to paint the sky with hues of rose and gold, they walked back to Elara's house, their hands clasped tightly, their footsteps heavy with the weight of unspoken goodbyes. The air was cool, carrying the scent of dew and fading summer. At her doorstep, they shared a final, lingering kiss, a kiss filled with all the passion of their youth, all the pain of their parting, and all the desperate hope that somehow, someday, decades later, destiny would indeed find a way to bring them back together. Elara watched Liam walk away, his silhouette growing smaller against the rising sun, and a part of her felt like it was being torn away. She carried his memory, his touch, his promise, like a precious, fragile thing, tucked deep within her heart. As she packed her bags for New York, leaving behind the quiet comfort of Willow Creek and the boy who held her soul, she held on to the belief that their love was written in the stars, a story that was far from over, merely paused, waiting for destiny to resume its intricate narrative. The intensity of her love for him, though now tinged with the ache of separation, remained an unyielding force, a constant burning ember in the depths of her being. New York City swallowed Elara whole, a vibrant, chaotic metropolis that was a universe away from the gentle rhythm of Willow Creek. The towering buildings, the relentless pace, the endless sea of faces. It was exhilarating and overwhelming all at once. She threw herself into her studies, and then into her career, finding solace in the demanding world of publishing. In the intellectual challenge of literature and philosophy, the city offered 1,000 distractions, 1,000 new experiences, 1,000 ways to build a new life, far from the girl who had promised forever under a small-town sky. Her small apartment, initially impersonal, slowly transformed into a sanctuary of curated books and art, a reflection of the sophisticated woman she was becoming. The scent of honeysuckle was replaced by the invigorating aroma of coffee and old paper, the chirping of crickets by the incessant hum of city life. She made new friends, bright, ambitious individuals who shared her intellectual curiosity and her dreams of making a mark on the world. She explored the city's museums, its theaters, its hidden cafes, building a new identity, a life rich with purpose and accomplishment. Communication with Liam, initially frequent and fervent, slowly began to wane, as the vastness of the continent and the demands of their burgeoning careers conspired to stretch the threads of their connection thinner and thinner. Their calls became less frequent, their emails shorter, the shared intimacy of their youth replaced by polite updates on their separate lives. Elara found herself clinging to the memories, to the echoes of his laughter, to the phantom touch of his hand. But even those began to feel distant, softened by the relentless march of time and the vibrant newness of her surroundings. The promise, once a burning star, became a cherished, wistful memory, a quiet ache in the deepest chambers of her heart. Liam, on the West Coast, was equally immersed in his new world. The Pacific Ocean, vast and mysterious, called to his adventurous spirit, and his marine biology studies consumed him. He embarked on a distinguished career, his research making significant contributions to ocean conservation, his name becoming synonymous with environmental advocacy. He traveled the world, his life filled with scientific discovery and the thrill of exploration. He sent Elara postcards of breathtaking coastal landscapes, letters filled with scientific breakthroughs, and the profound beauty he found in the natural world. She imagined him on research vessels, his eyes scanning the horizon, his spirit alive with purpose, thriving in a world that was uniquely his. As the decades unfolded, Elara's career flourished. She rose through the ranks of publishing, becoming a highly respected editor-in-chief, her keen intellect and discerning eye shaping the literary landscape. She married a kind, stable man, a fellow intellectual who shared her love for books and quiet evenings. Their marriage was one of mutual respect and companionship, a comfortable partnership that brought her joy and stability. They raised 2 wonderful children who grew into independent, successful adults, filling her life with a different kind of love, a profound maternal bond. Yet, in the quiet moments, when the city lights twinkled outside her window, a subtle longing would surface, a whisper of a first love, a passion that had set an unreachable standard. She heard snippets of news about Liam through mutual friends from Willow Creek. He had married too, a partnership born of shared scientific interests and a mutual respect for intellectual pursuits. He had 2 children as well, who followed in his footsteps, embracing careers in environmental science. His marriage, like hers, had been one of companionship and shared purpose, but it too had eventually, gently, dissolved in their later years, leaving him with a deep appreciation for the journey they had shared. Elara felt a pang of something she couldn't quite name. Not jealousy, but a profound sense of what might have been. A quiet acknowledgement of the parallel paths they had chosen. The rich, full lives they had built separately. The intensity of her first love, though now a distant memory, had left an indelible mark on her heart. It had set a standard, a benchmark for passion and connection that no subsequent relationship had ever quite met. She had learned to live with its echo, to appreciate the quiet contentment of her life, to find joy in her work, her family, and her friendships. But the memory of that all-consuming fire, that feeling of being utterly, gloriously alive in Liam's presence, remained a constant, subtle undercurrent in her emotional landscape, a secret garden within her soul. Time continued its relentless march. Elara, now in her late 60s, had retired from her illustrious career, embracing a new chapter of life filled with grandchildren, travel, and the freedom to write her own stories. Her children were grown, her grandchildren a source of immense joy, and her life was full. Yet a quiet sense of reflection often accompanied her. She looked back on her life with gratitude, but the ghost of a question lingered. What if? Liam, too, was in his early 70s, a revered figure in the scientific community, now enjoying a well-deserved retirement. He spent his days consulting, writing, and indulging his passion for sailing, his spirit still adventurous, though his body now carried the gentle marks of time. He often thought of Elara, of the girl under the stars, wondering about the life she had built, the woman she had become. The promise they had made, though decades old, still resonated within him, a testament to a love that had defied the passage of time. One particularly harsh New York winter, a blizzard blanketed the city in a thick, silent layer of snow, bringing everything to a standstill. Elara found herself confined to her apartment, the usual city bustle replaced by an eerie quiet. She spent the days reading, writing, and, inevitably, drifting back to memories of Willow Creek, of snow days spent with Liam, of the warmth of his hand in hers as they navigated the frosty paths. The nostalgia was potent, a bittersweet ache that filled her elegant apartment. A sudden power outage plunged her building into darkness. The silence deepened, broken only by the howl of the wind and the distant rumble of snowplows. Elara lit candles, their flickering flames casting dancing shadows on her bookshelves, and found herself reaching for an old photo album, a relic from her Willow Creek days. She turned the pages slowly, her fingers, now slightly wrinkled with age, tracing the faded images of a younger self, a younger Liam, their faces alight with the innocent joy of first love. She saw a picture of them under the ancient oak tree, their arms around each other, their eyes gazing up at the unseen stars. The memory of their promise, the vow of forever, resurfaced with a clarity that took her breath away. A wave of profound emotion washed over her, not just sadness for what was lost, but a fierce, undeniable longing for that intensity, that absolute certainty of connection. She realized then that no matter how many decades had passed, no matter how many miles had separated them, a part of her heart had always, irrevocably, belonged to Liam. The power eventually returned, bringing with it the hum of electricity and the gentle glow of her lamps. But the quiet introspection of the blizzard had left an indelible mark. Elara understood that while she had built a fulfilling life, a part of her soul had remained dormant, waiting for a spark that only Liam had ever ignited. She didn't know if they would ever meet again, if destiny would ever truly find a way to reunite them. But she knew, with a certainty that resonated deep within her, that the love they had shared was not just a memory, but a living, breathing force, a story written in the stars that was still waiting for its next chapter. She looked out her window at the snow-covered city, the lights of Manhattan twinkling like distant galaxies, and a quiet resolve settled within her. She would continue to live her life fully, to embrace its richness and its challenges. But she would also carry the hope, a fragile, precious thing, that perhaps, just perhaps, the universe had one more twist in store for her, one more alignment of the stars that would bring her back to the man who held the other half of her heart, the man whose love had been, and still was, an all-consuming, overwhelming passion. Decades had woven their intricate patterns through the lives of Elara and Liam, transforming them from hopeful young lovers into individuals rich with experience, wisdom, and the gentle marks of time. Elara, now in her late 60s, carried the grace of a life well lived, her silver hair framing a face etched with stories, her eyes holding the depth of countless narratives she had edited and absorbed. Liam, in his early 70s, exuded the quiet authority of a man who had navigated the world's oceans, his distinguished silver hair and kind blue eyes reflecting a lifetime of scientific inquiry and adventurous spirit. Both had built fulfilling lives, raised families, and contributed significantly to their respective fields. Yet the ember of their first love, though dormant, still glowed within them, a constant, subtle reminder of a passion that had once consumed them entirely. The idea of a reunion, once a desperate hope in their youth, had long since faded into the realm of wistful fantasy. Their lives had diverged so completely, their worlds so distinct, that the thought of their paths crossing again seemed almost impossible, a romantic notion best left to the pages of the novels Elara had edited. Destiny, it seemed, had found its way by allowing them to forge individual destinies, to become the remarkable individuals they were, each carrying the ghost of a shared past. Then, one crisp autumn afternoon, nearly 50 years after their tearful farewell in Willow Creek, destiny, with its subtle, insistent hand, intervened. Elara was attending a prestigious environmental gala in Manhattan, an event she usually found tedious but felt obligated to attend, as it honored a lifetime achievement in ocean conservation. The grand ballroom of the historic hotel was abuzz with conversation, a glittering sea of influential figures and passionate advocates. She was navigating the crowd, exchanging polite pleasantries, when a familiar voice, deeper now, richer but undeniably his, cut through the din. She turned, her heart giving a sudden, violent lurch in her chest, a sensation so powerful it stole her breath. Standing across the room, engaged in conversation with a group of fellow scientists, was Liam. He was older, of course, his silver hair a testament to the passage of time, but his eyes, those striking blue eyes, still held the same intelligent sparkle, the same depth she remembered from their youth. He was even more distinguished, more confident, his presence commanding a quiet respect. He wore a tailored suit that fit him with an effortless elegance, a stark contrast to the casual clothes of their youth. Yet he still exuded the same magnetic charm, now softened by the wisdom of age. Their eyes met across the crowded room, and in that instant, the decades melted away. The noise of the gala faded, the glittering crowd became a blur, and it was just them, two souls recognizing each other across a chasm of time and experience. A wave of profound emotion washed over Elara, a mix of shock, disbelief, and an overwhelming surge of recognition, a feeling of coming home that resonated deep within her bones. The ember of her first love, dormant for so long, suddenly burst into a roaring flame, an all-consuming fire that threatened to overwhelm her, even in her golden years. Liam, too, felt the jolt. His conversation faltered, his gaze locking onto hers, a look of stunned recognition, then a slow, incredulous smile spreading across his face. He excused himself from his group, his eyes never leaving hers, and began to navigate the crowded room. A man on a mission. Elara stood rooted to the spot, her heart pounding a frantic rhythm against her ribs. A mix of exhilarating anticipation and terrifying vulnerability. A feeling she hadn't experienced with such intensity in half a century. When he finally reached her, standing just inches away, the air between them crackled with an unspoken energy. There were no awkward greetings, no hesitant small talk. Just a shared gaze that spoke volumes, a silent acknowledgement of the history, the longing, the undeniable connection that still hummed between them. Liam reached out, his hand, now slightly veined with age, gently cupping her cheek, his touch sending a jolt of electricity through Elara, a sensation that was both achingly familiar and profoundly new, awakening nerve endings that had been dormant for decades. He spoke her name, a soft, almost reverent whisper, and the sound of it, after so many years, brought tears to Elara's eyes. She reached for his hand, her fingers, now bearing the gentle marks of time, intertwining with his, a gesture that felt as natural and as right as breathing. They stood there for what felt like an eternity, lost in each other's presence, the bustling gala fading into an irrelevant backdrop. The intensity of their connection was palpable, a force that drew curious glances from those around them, but neither of them noticed. They found a quiet corner, away from the main throng, and talked for hours. They spoke of their separate lives, of the paths they had taken, of the triumphs and challenges that had shaped them. Liam spoke of the vastness of the ocean, of the delicate balance of ecosystems, of the profound beauty he found in the natural world. Elara spoke of the power of stories, of the magic of words, of the human experience captured between the pages of a book. They discovered that while their lives had diverged, their core values, their passions, their fundamental understanding of the world remained remarkably aligned. The conversation flowed with an ease that defied the decades of separation, a comfortable intimacy that felt like picking up a beloved book exactly where they had left off. There was no need for explanations, no need for apologies for the past, just a shared understanding that life had simply taken its course, leading them on individual journeys that had, against all odds, brought them back to this moment, to each other, in the autumn of their lives. As the gala began to wind down, and the first hints of dawn began to paint the New York sky, Liam walked Elara back to her apartment. The city streets were quieter now, the air crisp with the promise of a new day. At her doorstep they paused, the unspoken question of what came next hanging delicately between them. Liam looked at her, his blue eyes holding a depth of emotion that made her heart ache with a sweet, profound joy. He didn't need to speak. His gaze, his touch, the quiet intensity of his presence conveyed everything. He was asking for a second chance, for a future that had once seemed lost, now rediscovered in their golden years. Elara, looking at the man who had been her first love, her guiding star, the one whose memory had remained a constant ember in her heart for half a century, felt a surge of courage she hadn't known she possessed. The fear of the unknown, the hesitation of a life long lived independently, was overshadowed by a far more powerful emotion. A love so intense, so consuming, so utterly breathtaking, that it dwarfed every doubt, every past regret. She reached for his hand, her fingers intertwining with his, and in that simple gesture, she made a new promise. A silent vow whispered not into the emptiness of a small-town night, but into the vibrant, living presence of the man she loved, under the vast, indifferent gaze of the New York sky. She invited him in, and as the door closed behind them, shutting out the nascent city morning, Elara knew, with a certainty that resonated deep within her, that their love story indeed was written in the stars. It had merely taken a long, winding path, a journey through separate lives, through decades of growth and experience, to bring them back to this moment, to this profound, overwhelming passion that felt like destiny's embrace, a glorious culmination in their golden years. The years of separation had not diminished their connection. They had, in fact, deepened it, allowing them to grow into individuals capable of appreciating the true rarity and intensity of the love that had always been meant to be theirs. The night Liam walked into Elara's Greenwich Village apartment, it was as if the universe, after decades of subtle nudges and winding paths, had finally exhaled. The silence of her carefully curated space, once a testament to her independent life, was now filled with the vibrant hum of two souls reconnecting, of a love story resuming its rightful course in the autumn of their lives. The years of separation had not diminished their connection. They had, in fact, deepened it, imbuing their reunion with a profound appreciation for the rarity of what they had found, and found again, in their golden years. Their rekindled romance was not a hesitant, cautious affair, but an immediate, all-consuming blaze. The passion that had ignited their youth, now tempered by a lifetime of experience and wisdom, burned with an even fiercer intensity. Their bodies, no longer young and unblemished, moved together with a profound understanding, a language of touch that spoke of decades of longing, of rediscovered desire, of a love that saw past the superficial to the very essence of each other's souls. Elara found herself marveling at the depth of her own capacity for passion, a fire she had thought had peaked in her youth, now blazing brighter than ever, fueled by Liam's unwavering devotion and her own courageous surrender to a love she had believed was lost to time. They spent weeks lost in each other, rediscovering the nuances of their personalities, the subtle shifts time had wrought, and the enduring core of who they were to each other. They walked the bustling streets of New York, their hands clasped, their steps in perfect synchronicity, finding quiet moments in Central Park, intimate dinners in hidden restaurants, and long, whispered conversations in Elara's apartment as the city lights twinkled outside. They spoke of their separate lives, of the lessons learned, of the growth achieved, weaving their individual narratives into a shared tapestry, now richer and more complex than they could have imagined in their youth. Liam, with his deep connection to the natural world, brought a new perspective to Elara's urban existence. He showed her the quiet beauty of the city's parks, the intricate ecosystems thriving in unexpected corners, the vastness of the sky even above Manhattan's skyscrapers. Elara, in turn, opened his eyes to the richness of human stories, the power of art and literature, the vibrant pulse of a city that never slept. Their lives, once so divergent, now intertwined with a natural ease that felt like destiny's design, a harmonious blend of their distinct worlds. Their children, now adults with families of their own, were initially surprised by the sudden, intense reunion of their parents with their long-lost first loves. But they quickly embraced their happiness, witnessing the radiant glow in Elara's eyes, the quiet contentment in Liam's smile. They understood that some connections were simply meant to be, transcending generations and the expectations of a conventional life. Even their grandchildren, with their innocent curiosity, delighted in the romantic tale of their grandparents' enduring love, a real-life fairy tale unfolding before their eyes. The promise they had made under the summer sky in Willow Creek, the vow of forever, now felt not like a distant memory, but a prophecy gloriously fulfilled. It had taken a long, winding path, a journey through separate lives and unforeseen challenges spanning half a century, but destiny, with its subtle, insistent hand, had indeed found a way to bring them back together. They realized that the decades apart had not been a waste, but a necessary period of growth, allowing them to become the individuals capable of truly appreciating the profound, overwhelming passion that had always been their birthright, now rediscovered in the wisdom of their later years. They returned to Willow Creek one summer, years after their reunion, to visit family and friends. They walked hand in hand to their old spot under the ancient oak tree by the river. The tree was older, its branches more sprawling, its roots deeper, but the river still flowed with the same gentle rhythm, and the air still carried the scent of honeysuckle. As dusk fell, and the first stars began to prick the darkening sky, they lay on a blanket, just as they had in their youth, gazing up at the familiar constellations. Liam pointed out Orion, the hunter, and Elara spoke of the myths of lovers separated by the gods, only to be reunited in the heavens. But this time, their conversation was not tinged with the ache of impending separation, but with the profound peace of a promise fulfilled, a destiny realized. Liam reached for Elara's hand, his fingers, now slightly gnarled with age, intertwining with hers. And in that simple, familiar gesture, they reaffirmed their love, not with words, but with the quiet certainty of two souls irrevocably bound, their journey a testament to the universe's grand design. They decided to make New York their primary home, a vibrant testament to their shared future. But Willow Creek remained a cherished part of their story, a nostalgic anchor to the innocence of their first love. They continued to pursue their passions, Liam's work in ocean conservation, Elara's career in writing and mentoring. But now they did so side by side, their individual successes enriched by their shared life, their unwavering support for each other. Their golden years were not a period of quiet decline, but a vibrant, passionate renaissance, a second act more beautiful than the first. Their love was a constant source of wonder, a daily reminder that some stories are indeed written in the stars. It was a love that was fiercely passionate, yet deeply comforting. A fire that burned brightly, yet offered a profound sense of peace. They had learned that destiny doesn't always follow a straight line, that it often weaves its intricate patterns through detours and challenges, testing the strength of a connection, only to reveal its true resilience and timeless beauty. Elara, once a young woman who believed her love story was paused, now knew it had simply been waiting for the perfect alignment of the constellations, for the wisdom of age to fully appreciate its depth. Liam, who had always believed in the vastness of the universe, now understood that the most profound mystery of all was the enduring power of a love that defied time and distance, blossoming anew in the twilight of their lives. Lying in Liam's arms at night, the lights of Manhattan twinkling like a million distant stars outside their window, Elara often thought of their promise under the summer sky in Willow Creek. It had been a promise of forever, made by two idealistic young lovers, but it had been a promise that destiny, with its gentle hand and its profound wisdom, had indeed honored. She had believed their love story was written in the stars. And now, looking at Liam, feeling the steady beat of his heart against hers, she knew it was true. Destiny had always found a way. It had led them apart, allowed them to grow, and then, with an undeniable grace, had brought them back together, proving that some loves are simply meant to be, an overwhelming passion that transcends all obstacles, a timeless melody played out across the vastness of the universe, culminating in the most beautiful chapter of their lives. Did Elara and Liam's incredible journey touch your heart? This beautiful story reminds us that some love stories are truly written in the stars, destined to unfold across time and distance, even across entire lifetimes. It teaches us that even when life pulls us apart for decades, a profound connection can endure, waiting patiently for destiny to weave its intricate patterns and bring us back together in our golden years. Elara and Liam's story is a testament to the enduring power of first love, the wisdom gained through separate journeys, and the breathtaking intensity of a passion that, once rekindled in the autumn of life, proves that true love always finds its way. If this story stirred hope in you, a belief that your own destiny might hold such a profound connection, please leave a like and share it with someone who needs this reminder. Where are you listening from today? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe and turn on notifications for more stories about love that defies expectations and proves that the best chapters of our lives might still be unwritten, even in our later years. Thank you for being part of this community.